Nearly 60 years after his death, American folk icon and social activist Woody Guthrie is experiencing a resurgence of interest. Last week, Guthrie's publishing company released a new album featuring never-before-heard recordings, a mix of original songs and intimate spoken reflections. Meantime, on stages around the world, some of the biggest names in folk and rock are adding Guthrie classics back into their set lists, underscoring his enduring influence. Senior arts correspondent Jeffrey Brown has more for our series Art in Action, exploring the intersection of art and democracy as part of our Canvas coverage.
This land is your land, and this land is my land.
Woody Guthrie in a way we've never heard him before.
To the New York Highland, from the snow-capped mountains.
His voice weakened by illness, recording his American classic.
This land is made for you and me.
Even adding a few previously unheard verses.
I'm having my farmer to scatter my new seed.
In his Brooklyn, New York apartment, all captured on a 2-channel tape recorder, surrounded by the sounds of everyday life and his wife and small children.
That's about all I got to say.
Can I say hello?
Hello.
You know, I never knew my grandfather.
Anna Canoni is Woody Guthrie's granddaughter and the current president of Woody Guthrie Publications.
This is the first time I ever got to hear my grandfather as if he was just my grandfather. You know, the intimacy of being in a home with a musician who just kind of picks up a guitar and plays while you're in the middle of a conversation.
A conversation taking place on the new release, Woody at Home, Volume 1 and 2. In addition to well-known favorites, the album, from recordings in 1951 and 52, includes 13 never-before-heard songs.
Kid can't call you honey dumpling, no, that's one little thing the atom can't do.
And covers a wide range of topics, from war and politics
I marched in 50 armies, won 200 wars.
to love.
I'm your old forsaken lover.
It also contains 3 tracks of Guthrie talking, including to his music publisher, Howie Richman.
Howie, I'd like to talk to you a couple of words about this idea of changing songs around. And all
The
that
recordings
stuff.
were made to protect Guthrie's rights to his songs and allow his publisher to share them with others in the music industry.
It's rough and raw and intimate. There's really nothing fancy about it. You really feel like you're in the same room with him, kind of a fly on the wall.
Way over yonder in the monarchy.
British singer-songwriter and activist Billy Bragg's relationship with Woody Guthrie goes back decades, playing his music and helping bring it to new audiences. And Bragg was one of the first people Anna Canoni sought feedback from on the new release.
I heard someone trying to make sense of the life that they were living in New York in the early 1950s, reflecting not just what was happening around them, but what was happening in their home, what was happening in their day, what was happening in their life. You either think of him out on the road, covered in dust, or if you know a little bit about him, in the Merchant Navy in the Second World War. But you certainly don't imagine him sitting around looking after the kids in his house in Coney Island.
Guthrie was born in 1912 in Oklahoma, and as a young man during the Depression moved around the country, including to Los Angeles, where he hosted a radio show. He served in the Merchant Marines and Army in World War II, and then came to New York, all the while crafting songs of life in America, often of the poor and dispossessed. The years in New York would be some of Guthrie's most prolific and see a growing influence, eventually on several generations of musicians, famously including Bob Dylan, a relationship dramatized in the recent film A Complete Unknown.
Well, I wanted to meet Woody.
He also began to show signs of Huntington's disease, a neurodegenerative disorder that would lead to his early death at age 55. To restore the tapes, Canoni worked with Steve Rosenthal, a 4-time Grammy-winning producer.
The audio technology that we used, it was able to take a mono recording.
We up yonder in the blue-green sky where the good angels go to fly.
And separate it out into Woody's guitar, Woody's voice, background noises, and a hum.
back door bum and a big landlord.
So that all that emerges is really just Woody.
Said the big landlord to the back door bum, my feet's getting awful tired.
Guthrie's writing about the marginalized and oppressed has made his songs a staple ingredient of protest movements since the 1950s.
He represents the kind of big brass spike that earths the singer-songwriter tradition that I am a part of. So in that sense, Woody is perhaps one of the first alternative songwriters. He wasn't just writing songs for commercial purposes. He was writing songs to put across a set of ideas that he strongly believed in. And
all the more so amid today's political and social upheavals, as musicians such as Bruce Springsteen and songwriter and social activist Ani DiFranco are playing his songs to protest Trump administration policies.
Woody was awake. I think Woody was compassionate and trying to bestow love and truth, politically speaking. We are in very perilous and desperate political times, so I think a timeless voice of unity and equality and justice like Woody's is very important now.
The new album contains the only known recording by Guthrie of one of his most famous songs, Deportee, written in 1948.
You're flying me back to your old Mexican border.
About 28 migrant farm workers who died when the plane deporting them back to Mexico crashed.
Some of us are illegal, some are not wanted.
It's an especially timely song, and now more than ever. I think there are many kinds of protest songs, but I think the classic protest song is galvanizing and motivating, you know? A song that sees and recognizes a social political problem and motivates people to address it, to confront it, to overcome it.
Billy Bragg has also been performing more of Guthrie's music since the start of Donald Trump's second term.
in these times, he represents a patriotic American who stood up for what he believed in. But currently, one of the songs from Woody's repertoire that I'm using to address the things that Donald Trump is doing is All You Fascists Are Bound to Lose. So I'm trying to make an argument in that we don't slip from autocracy into something much deeper and much darker.
For Anna Canoni, the political meshes with the personal.
You know, he's singing songs about injustice, racism, greed, corruption.
Get ready for the bugle call of peace.
Bob Dylan, right? He said, you can listen to a Woody Guthrie song and actually learn how to live. I've been following that line kind of so hard that I've looked through almost every single lyric my grandfather has written to figure out the kind of person I want to be. I love using Woody as a tool in my tool belt to go through life, and I think a lot of musicians do too.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown.
This land is made for you.